All right, let's jump right in. We're going to break down a super important topic for India's future, its export ambitions. We'll get into the challenges, the big goals, and what it all means, especially for those of you preparing for exams.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with a look back at India's export journey. Then, we'll dive into the major challenges we're facing today. After that, we'll check out the government's strategy to tackle these problems and the road ahead. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with a neat summary of the key takeaways for your notes.
First up, let's set the stage. To really get a grip on where India's exports are today, you kind of have to know the backstory. So let's trace this journey from the big boom after the reforms to the slowdown we've seen lately.
Now this timeline, it tells such a clear story, doesn't it? After the economic reforms in the 90s, you see this incredible surge. Exports as a share of our GDP almost tripled. But then, look at the last 10 years or so. Things kind of flatline. The number for 2024 is almost exactly where it was back in 2016. That stagnation is a really big deal, and it's the reason we need to talk about the challenges.
So what are we actually selling to the rest of the world? This chart is super revealing. Look at the difference. Our global share in services, things like IT support, is more than double our share in merchandise, actual physical goods. It shows where our strengths are, for sure, but it also shines a massive spotlight on a core challenge. We're not yet the global factory we want to be.
Okay, so what's going on? Why have things stalled? Let's dig into the roadblocks, the hurdles holding India back. And for anyone thinking about exams, understanding these structural issues is absolutely crucial for framing a good answer.
This right here, this is a killer data point. You have to remember this one. Our logistics costs are nearly double the global average. Just think about what that means. Before our products even leave a factory gate, they're already more expensive than a competitor's, just because of transport and other inefficiencies. It's like we're starting every race from behind the starting line.
And it's not just logistics. The problems run a lot deeper. We're not properly plugged in to what are called global value chains. We'll define that in a sec. Plus, our export basket is too narrow. Over a fifth of our goods exports is just petroleum products. Then you add on the tough quality standards in places like the US and Europe. These are called non-tariff barriers, or NTBs, and a real credit squeeze for our small and medium businesses, and, well, you've got a perfect storm of challenges.
So let's quickly unpack that key term, global value chains, or GVCs. The easiest way to think about them is as a modern global assembly line. The perfect example is an iPhone. The parts come from all over the world, and it's assembled somewhere else entirely. Being a key link in that chain is where the growth, the jobs, and the real value is in modern manufacturing.
Okay, so we've laid out the problems, and it's a pretty tough picture. But what's being done about it? Let's shift gears and look at the solutions. Here's the government's game plan and the key policies you really need to know.
The centerpiece of the government's response is the new Export Promotion Mission, or EPM, and they are not messing around. Look at this number, over 25,000 crore rupees. That's a massive investment, and it signals that this is a top priority. They're trying to overhaul the whole system. Now, the EPM has two main parts, and here's a fantastic little mnemonic to help you remember them for an exam. First is Niryat Protsahan. Just think P for paisa, because this pillar is all about the money, financial support. The second is Niryat Disha. Disha means direction, and that's exactly what this is about, providing guidance and non-financial help. Paisa and direction. Super easy way to keep them straight.
Of course, the EPM isn't the only tool in the box. It's backed up by a whole range of other initiatives. You've got the RODTEP scheme, which basically refunds hidden taxes to make our exports cheaper. And the PLI schemes, which have been a total game changer, especially for smartphones. I mean, thanks to PLI, smartphone exports skyrocketed to 90,000 crore rupees, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs. It just shows what's possible with the right policies.
So that brings us to the really important way forward section, and you want to pay close attention here, because this is the kind of thinking that's perfect for structuring the conclusion in your mains answers. It connects the problems to real, actionable solutions.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's that there's no single magic bullet. There's no one thing we can do. It has to be a multi-pronged attack. We have to strengthen manufacturing by cutting those costs, we have to diversify what we sell and who we sell it to, and we absolutely have to empower our MSMEs, who are really the engine of our economy. And that leaves us with this, a really critical question that kind of sums up the entire challenge. If you could only push through one single reform to make India a global export powerhouse, what would it be? Is it fixing logistics? Is it skills? Trade policy?
Thinking about this is what takes an analysis from good to great.
All right, time to bring it all home. This last section is your consolidated summary, all the key takeaways you'll want for your notes. Think of this as your rapid revision for everything we've just covered.
First, the big picture concepts. The vision, Viksit Bharat by 2047. The model to get there, export-led growth. The core challenge, making the leap from a services leader to a manufacturing powerhouse. And the key jargon, you gotta know, GVCs, NTBs, RODTEP, and the PLI's theme. Got it? Good.
Next up, the numbers you'll want to have in your back pocket. That stagnant export share, 21.2% of GDP. That massive logistics cost, a whopping 14%. On the policy side, that EPM outlay of over 25,000 crore rupees. And of course, your go-to success story, smartphones, with exports hitting 90,000 crore rupees.
So, to recap the challenges, it really boils down to 5 core areas: high structural costs, weak integration into those global value chains, an export basket that isn't diverse enough, all sorts of trade barriers, and a credit crunch that hits our smallest businesses the hardest.
And the policies to fix all this? Well, you've got the flagship EPM with its 2 arms, Protsahan and Disha. You've got RODTEP for refunding taxes, PLI for boosting production, and of course, the massive infrastructure push with projects like PM Gati Shakti, which are designed to tackle that logistics problem head-on.
And finally, the recommendations for the path ahead. It's all about making our manufacturing more competitive, diversifying into new products and new markets, truly empowering our MSMEs, and using digital platforms to build a global brand India. That wraps up our deep dive into India's export landscape. A huge challenge, for sure, but also a massive opportunity.